Welcome to the Live Wide Open podcast. I'm your host, Randy B. Ramirez, also known as Wide Open Randy, and I'm here to lead you to become the best version of yourself. This show helps raise the bar for all the motorsport enthusiasts. Holding it wide open is just what we do. Being a great person is who we are, and living our lives to the fullest is the lifestyle that we choose. Man, today we're going to be diving into some of the lessons learned that I took on, that I embraced, that I literally just extracted from participating in the Miami Marathon. Like, if you're not aware how long a marathon is, well, a marathon is 26.2 miles. That shit is a pretty fucking far distance to run, man. I ain't gonna lie. No matter if you run daily or if you don't, 26 miles is a lot to fucking cover. Something that's gonna take you several hours, man. Shit, I think the record right now in the world is like 2 hours, or maybe bro, just at the borderline of 2 hours, and that's the fastest man in the world. And to give you a normalized perspective, from 2 hours, from the fastest guy ever to what I just fucking accomplished, a personal best when I was just being able to break into the fours, like a high 456 actually is what was my time. But that's a huge difference right there. That's more than double. And yet that was the fastest time that I've got to date. It's crazy. And I extracted many lessons. I extracted many moments, many fucking things that I've had to overcome in order to be able to be here with you here and sharing these lessons so that you can use them in your life as you achieve greatness, as you achieve the next level of yourself, as you embrace, the physical journey of pushing yourself, right? And so before we even get into that, I'm going to give you a little quick backstory on my running history, because it really helps put things into context. You see, there was a time in my life where I couldn't even fucking run 1 mile. And as a matter of fact, there was a time in my life where I couldn't even walk half a mile. And I say that because, my right tib and fib, I broke those things in half, folded the leg, and bones were popping out of that. And it's crazy to think, and as a result of that injury, actually, let me say, I had to get a titanium rod that goes from my knee all the way to my ankle installed in my leg to be able to hold the weight, to be able to walk, to be able to process, right? And so that recovery really challenged me, right? And then and then on a separate occasion, on my left side, this was a really, really old injury that happened doing motocross. It's actually ended my motocross career, the pursuit that I had to go and to become a professional rider. I busted my knee. I tore my knee up nasty. I tore my ACL, meniscus, all this stuff. And back then, I was very young and I had no insurance at the time, and I couldn't get it repaired. So I just let it heal on its own or whatever. And then it evolved into an injury where I lived with for many, many years. And actually, this was way before I broke my right leg. This is, my knee is on my left leg. And as that evolved and I started embracing fitness, it really started bothering me until finally I had some money and I had some good insurance. And I was like, you know what? It's time to fix this. It was almost more than a decade later, more than 10 years later, where I went to get it fixed. And so they did a cadaver. They replaced my ACL. They fixed my meniscus, all this. And it never really healed properly. Still to this day, a phrase, still to this day, it bothers me. Still to this day, if I do hard pivots or movements or I jump really hard, like I'll feel it go out on me and I'll see fucking stars. And so it's a constant battle that I have to embrace, really, because I have to overcome that mental barrier of knowing that, yeah, my knee's holding me back, and yeah, my right leg holds me back because it has a titanium rod and the bone's still fucking brittle or whatever. But I push and I evolve, and I've gone from barely even walking a mile to now being able to say that I've completed my second marathon, right? 26.2 miles. And it's fucking nuts. And I got it in a record time, right? And that's actually now the longest I've ran before, or I should say not ran, but covered, right? Because the first time that I went to run a marathon distance, I actually ended up doing 27 miles. Because I wanted to sign up for the Miami Marathon, but back then it was sold out, and it sells out fast, bro. If you're not jumping on it the day, or the week that those tickets come out, that shit will sell out fast. There's like over 15,000 participants in this thing. So I was like, I wanted to do it. I wanted to do it. And I was sold out. So I was like, you know what? This ain't going to fucking stop me. So I set up a course around my house. I measured it and I went for it. And just because of the number of laps that it turned out, I was like, yo, I'm going to fucking finish the lap. And I went 27 miles that time, right? And so calculating from that time to now running the Miami Marathon, on the 26.2 mile time frame, I was able to cut 51 fucking minutes off my time, almost an hour. That, man, that is fucking amazing. And I've embraced it, and I've been able to really ride that high so I can look back and see how the progress that has happened and I have evolved, right? Because I still have so much more to go, right? I still want to get faster. I actually don't consider myself to be a fast runner yet, right? But I've fucking can tell you that I'm not where I used to be, right? And that fucking right there is fuel for the soul, fuel for the heart, fuel for the mind, to know that all the fucking hard work that you've been putting in has been paying off, right? And so, in order for you to even attempt to fucking run a full marathon, right? There's some stages that goes to it, right? There's going to be a preparation stage. You got to condition yourself. Then there's the race stage, and then there's the post race stage, right? And so, as far as the preparation and conditioning for you to be able to run a fucking race, right? And in my mind, it's really boils down to two big categories, right? Your mindset and your physical performance, and they go hand in hand, right? And one will quit before the other, and that is your mind. Your mind will tell you that you cannot go. Your mind will tell you that that you're too tired, that you can't push further, that you can't. And just is why it's important for you to solidify your mind, because you want to get it out there as far as possible, because it's going to get to a point where you got to shut your mind off and you got to just go, and you got to tell it that I'm going to continue going no matter what, and really rely on your physical performance, on your physical endurance, on your stamina, on your fucking heart and your willpower to make this happen, right? And so with your mindset, right? You gotta have this fucking, I will either finish this or they will take me out on a fucking stretcher type of mindset, right? Like, and the reason why I said it is because that shit is one of the hardest things I've ever done. Like, running a marathon for me is very challenging. I've shared on here that I do triathlons, right? I've been doing, technically they're called Ironman 70.3s, but in my eyes, it's a half Ironman, right? And so my goal is to do a full Ironman, right? And so these half Ironmans are, the running portion is a half marathon, right? And then the cycling portion is a 56-mile bike ride, and the swimming is a 1.2-mile swim. Now, a full Ironman is double everything. And so the running portion is 26.2 miles, right? But you have to fucking do that after you cycle 112 miles, I believe it is. And then after you fucking swim 2.2 miles or whatever it is. And so the average time to finish a fucking gangster ass, full Ironman, from my scene, is anywhere from like 10 to like 13 hours or so, straight fucking hardcore pushing yourself, right? And so it takes a lot of preparation. And so if you want to do great things, if you want to push yourself, if you want to fucking go and say, man, I'm going to accomplish this no matter what, it's going to take for you having the mindset of, I'm either going to finish this shit or they're going to take me out on a fucking stretcher, because I will do it no matter fucking what, right? Whether it's running, whether it's walking, whether it's crawling, I will finish this goal that I started. And so when you develop that fucking mindset, man, you become truly unstoppable, right? And so the mindset helps you build the physical performance, right? And so in your physical performance, it really is all about clocking in the fucking miles, right? There's really nowhere around that, right? There's no fucking way for you to go and say, I'm gonna run 26 miles if you can't even prove to your mind that you can do half of it, right? And so even if you're gonna walk it, right, you're gonna get to a certain point where you're like, yo, this is gonna take forever, right? Like, and so you have to have some physical performance in order to do it. And so when I say that you gotta clock in the fucking miles, it's all about proving to your mind that you can go the distance, right? That you can, like, that normalize the fucking the performance, right? It definitely is gonna take a lot from you. It's definitely gonna be challenging. It's definitely gonna be you getting out of your fucking comfort zone, right? But in order for you to embrace the full 26 miles, you gotta prove to your mind that you can clock the fucking miles, that you can do them, right? At least minimum half the distance, right? Because You can go half the distance and prove to your mind that you could do it, and then the other half, even if you fucking walk it, at least you know that fuck it. At least I'm just gonna reset my mind and I'm gonna do this half distance one more time. And that was really my approach for this race. Is when I was training and I was getting my clocking in my mouth and I was embracing my physical performance, I didn't have time or my schedule didn't allow to go fucking train and run fucking 15 plus miles. Actually, the most that I was able to train was in one fucking sitting 15 miles, right? And so I was really proving to my mind that I can go for 15 miles. And really what I was after is that, all right, I know I can do a half marathon consistently, right? Like, and then my mindset on this was just when I get to the halfway point, I'm gonna walk a little, and then I'm gonna reset my mind. And I'm like, all right, we just got to do this one more time, right? And so I split it up in twos, right? Mindset first, physical performance second, and then it's just fucking willpower at that. But you need to prepare. You need to condition yourself. You need to be able to clock in the fucking miles in order for you to finish at a fucking decent time. In order for you to even have the willpower to say, yo, I'm gonna fucking do this shit, right? It takes that, right? And so let's say you got the mindset built. Let's say you got the physical performance. Let's say you're fucking, you're walking, and that for me, I started with walking. I was walking 3 miles every day, and then that evolved to fucking doing 3 miles of a run, right? And then I started running 6 miles, and then I started running 9 miles, and then I started running 12 miles, and then I started running 15 miles, right? And then that was really my training, right? And then towards the end of the marathon, or just say towards the end of the time frame prior to the marathon, I was running, on Tuesdays I was clocking in 5 miles, on Thursdays I was clocking in 10 miles, and then on Sundays I was clocking in 15 miles, right? And I was building up to that, and it was all about proving to my mind that I could go the distance, right? Got to be able to clock in the miles, right? And so here comes race day, right? I'm like, fuck, I'm prepared. I'm gonna do this shit. I really did feel the most prepared that I have been in a long time, right? And it's all because I've been building myself into the fucking man that I am today, right? It's all about showing up every single fucking day, especially on the days that you don't fucking want to, right? And so here we go. I've never been to such a big event, 15,000 plus people, fucking huge crowd in Miami. Like, we split her into different corrals based on your time. I went with my wife and my brother. My wife was doing the half, and my brother was also doing the full. And this was his first full. He had never gone that distance before. Um, and so we were split up, and then we're there looking at everyone at all the distance, and I was there doing the math, whatever. And I was like, bro, I knew that my previous time was like 5 hours and like 50 something minutes, some shit like that. 5 hours and like actually high 40s. I don't remember exactly, like 48, 5 hours 48, 5 hours 49, some shit like that. And so I was like, yo, my goal really was to get as low into the 5 as possible, bro. If I could break half an hour off of my fucking previous time, I was like, yo, I'm doing good. I'm doing good. Because for me, running is the most challenging, but has helped me evolve the most, right? And so, bam, we're waiting around. They start, the fucking fast guys go, starts at 6 a.m. on the dot. By the time they got to my group, it was like 6:45. I was there waiting for 45 minutes. That shit was like fucking the anticipation building, like the anxiety. I was like, yo, and I had to consistently calm myself, right? Consistently breathe. And I was like, yo, I got this. Breathe, you got this. Consistently move my legs, stretch to make sure that I wasn't gonna fucking cool off because I wanted to be, warmed up. And then as much as I could only do so much because there was fucking people all over the place. So whatever. Bam, they called my corral number to the thing. We start. I start running, huge crowd, right? And it actually worked to my favor because I couldn't run fast at the beginning, and so it actually helped me keep my heart rate down. It helped me like lower my pace, right? And so I was just here to focus on, all right, let me start trying to cut through people, whatever. And sure enough, like as soon as I started, within like the first half mile, I could already feel my left knee like throbbing. And I was like, yo, what the fuck? And I was like, nah, I'm gonna push through this. This is nothing. I'm gonna push through this. I've always battled this. I'm gonna push through it. And then get to mile one, bam, my right shin starts fucking swelling up, and it's like throbbing too. Bam, bam, bam. And I was like, yo, what the fuck? We're here just on mile one, bro. I got 25 more to go, and I'm already battling these pains. And I was like, yo, fuck this. I got this. I got the mental strength. And it was really all about proving to my mind that I could keep going, right? And so I just focused on passing people, right? And like I built myself on that fuel of like, not like flying past people, but like, consistently just weaving in and out, and proving to my mind that I could do this. And so really it was just distracting my mind from the pain that I was already feeling to be able to to continue, right? And so, sure enough, pass mile one, pass mile two. Like we're now going through the causeway on Miami Beach, like right next to the cruise ships, entering Miami Beach, I should say. And then I'm going, and my brother had already taken off a long time before me. He was in a different corral. And then I see my brother. I was like, oh shit! So I tap him, yo, what's up? And he was like, yo. And then he was there trying to go slow at his pace. And then I was like, yo, I kept going. And I didn't even tell him, yo, let's go, let's go. I knew he was running his own pace. He was running his own race. And I was like, me too. And I was really trying to keep my mind off of the pain that I was already feeling in my knee and my shin. Right. And so I kept going. I kept going. And man, and I was just focused on in and out, in and out. We get through the beach, and I was like, man, focus on my breathing, focus on my breathing. I kept going. And the cool part about it was, and here's where like you build the fuel from the people, the things that people are telling you, and it's all built on the things that you do every day, right? And you don't notice the progress every day. It's just come to a point where like, yo, fucking yeah. So I was passed by several cops, bro, and like a lot of cops work OT to be able to, block the roads and all that. Man, and cops kept complimenting me. I had like a sleeveless shirt, like really light to be able to sweat. And cops were like, yo, what's up, so little swole guy? You got this, swole guy. You saw this. Do it for the big guys. Do it for the big guys. And I was like, yo, man, I come from being very skinny. I never like used to people calling me swole. Like, and so that shit was like a good mental high. Like that shit was like a mental fucking gasoline pump fueling myself to be able to push harder, right? And then I use those comments to push and to push and to push, right? And so we're going, and I expressed with you, like I had been training, either 3, 6, 9, 12, or 5, 10, 15, right? And the most I had training was really for 15. And so I'm running my own race. I'm got like my music. I'm making sure I'm stopping at every water station to fuel up because we're going the distance. And then it was like around mile like 10 or so, right? Like I'm like, man, damn, I'm fucking really good because I was focusing on passing people and just, like trying to keep a decent pace. And I was like a high 9-minute pace, right? And then I think like around 10 or so, right? Like I was actually a low 10, right? A low 10-second pace. And so around like mile 10 or so, like man, I see like in the distance some guy like holding a cart and he's like running. And I was like, yo, what the fuck? So I just continue focusing on that, trying to weave in and out because there's a lot of fucking people. I wish I could express to you and show you how, like, bro, 15,000 people all running in the same direction. It feels like if you're running a little faster, you're gonna be in and out, and you gotta be aware. It actually helps you. Like you're zigzagging out, and you stay focused. It helps you keep your mind distracted of the distance of your heart rate. Like it helps you just stay concentrated and focused on making shit happen, right? And so I see this dude with a card, right? And finally, when I get close to him, I'm able to read it right. I see like, oh shit, that's a pace card, right? And on the pace card, it said 5:00 finish time, right? And I was like, yo, what the fuck? And I was like, oh, that's a 5 flat. And then right under it, a little smaller, and you have to get close to be able to read it. It said 11:27 pace, And I ran into this guy like a little over past mile 10, and fucking. So I looked down on my watch, and I was like, yo, I have a fucking like 10:20 pace right now. I was like, yo, that shit. I was like, yo, I could do this. I was like, not only can I achieve the 5 flat, and I was trying. My goal originally was to get as close to the 5 as possible, right? But I didn't think I was gonna really like achieve it. I set big goals and I go after them, and so if you fall short a little bit, at least you fucking improve, right? And so even if I improve half an hour, it's still gonna be like 5:15, something like that. And so by the time I did the calculation, I was like, yo, I think I can fucking beat a 5. I think I get into the 4. I don't know how deep I can get into the 4, but I can get a fucking 4 on this shit. And I was like, yo, I kept going, and I tried to stay with that guy. And he had a 5, and with the 11:27 pace that he was pacing, he was a pace guard. He was a pacer actually, and because I had started later and I had caught up to him, I had a faster pace, right? And so I was like, yo, I'm just gonna focus on keeping up with this guy, keeping up with this guy, keeping up with this guy. And so here we go, bam, and we're going, and then we get to the halfway point, right? We get to the fucking halfway point, mile, like right before mile 13. No, it's 13.1 the half distance, right? So it was like 12:75 or something like that. And then that's when it splits, right? Bam, all the half marathoners are coming this way, and all the full marathons are going that way. And then that's when I knew, and I had already envisioned it. I had already processed this through my mind that when we get to the halfway point, I just got to reset my mind. I got to take a chill pill to be able to really do the distance one more time because I was splitting it in two. Right, I had only ran the full distance once, That was one of the most challenging things I did in my life. And so I knew that fucking I had to reset myself. I had to get locked in, right? And so I did. I walked a little bit, and at that point, like we were going over a big bridge. So I started walking, whatever. Like at one of the fuel stations, I picked up a banana. I threw a gel, and I was like, all right, we're doing this, right? And so I fucking take off again. Sure enough, bro, fucking hit a wall at mile 15. And like not a physical wall, but like a barrier, a mental barrier, a physical barrier. That at mile 15, man, I was like I was started walking and I couldn't no more. Like I slowed down to like a 13 something pace, right? And I was like, yo, what the fuck? And and I was like, yo, no. And so I tried to start running and I couldn't. I started running and I couldn't. I started running and I couldn't. And finally, I got back to running and I ran like 1.5 miles, right? And then I was like, oh, I'm going, I got this, I can do it, I can do it, I can do it. And bam, mile 18, I hit another fucking wall, right? And I was like, yo, what the fuck? Still eyeing my pace, still seeing where I'm at, still seeing that I'm under the 11:27, right? Like at that time, I think I was like high tens, like very low 11s. I think around the wall, I was like 11, like 11:10 or 11:05, something like that, mile per hour pace. Not mile per hour, but a mile per minute pace. And and I was like, yo, I knew this was gonna happen. Like I knew this was gonna happen. And so like I really just started encouraging myself. I started just talking to myself. I started hyping myself up. I started to remember why I started doing this, right? And so by that time, when I hit the wall, like the pacer had already left, right? And I was like, damn, you know. But I knew that I had caught up to him, so I was faster. And I kept looking at my watch for the pace, and I was like, yo, I could still do this. I could still do this. I could still do this, right? And so fuck, I build the willpower. I one of the aid stations, some guy like they had the guys with the hose. So I was like, yo, can you fucking spray my back? Cause I was soaking wet. My tennis shoes, my socks were soaking wet by like mile 8. And so that was a little challenge that I had to overcome running in wet shoes from your fucking sweat, right? And so whatever, it got to the aid station and the guy's like spraying my back with the hose, and I was like, oh, that's so good. And then the guy in front of him was like, no, that's not that. Come over here. And I was like, all right. He grabs a fucking pitcher of water full of ice and dumps it on me like that. And I was like, oh shit. That shit woke me up, bro. And I was like, all right, I got this. And boom, and I started just jogging again. And I started kept looking at my watch, hanging out eyeing my watch, and I knew that I had to keep it under 11:15 pace if I was gonna have a chance at really coming in under 5, you know. And at that point, it wasn't even a question. And I was like, if I'm gonna get the 5, I was just focused on getting under 5, right? And it's crazy because at the beginning of the race, I was just trying to get as close to 5 as possible, and that transitioned to not only getting a 5 flat, but beating the 5 flat, right? And so like around mile 20, like I'm going and I'm already exhausted. I know mile 20, I was like, damn, I got 6 left. I got 6 left. I got 6 miles left. And I kept telling myself, you got this, Randy. You got this, Randy. You got this, Randy. And so like I started walking for a little bit, bam, bam, and I ran into a father and his daughter, and I heard them talking, right? And they're talking to each other. And they're like, hey, if we really push hard, we can get the 5 flat. But if you want to walk, I'm okay with that because I'm exhausted. The father was telling his daughter, and then I saw like I was like, oh shit. And so I looked to him and I was like, oh, I was like, man, I look at my watch and I was like, bro, I was like, yo, I'm shooting. I think I can get that too. I was like, well, no, I'm right now. I'm showing an 11 like 19 pace or 11:18 pace right now, current pace. You know, at that point, on average. And he's like, oh, I have the same thing. And I was like, guys, I was like, look, I'll help you guys. You help me. Let's push. I think I really want to get this goal. Let's push for under 5. We could do this. And so like I see that guy, and the guy takes a huge deep breath, and he's like, all right, let's do it. And so we're going, and then the daughter had like the new Apple like earphones that like or whatever, they cover your whole ear and shit. And so I wasn't really talking to her, I was talking to her dad. So he's like, oh, where are you from? I was like, oh, from here. And he was from LA. His daughter was going to UM. And so as they were talking, and I was telling them about, oh, this was my first official marathon, but I had ran it before, and I had been training, been doing several, Ironman 70.3s. And he's like, oh man, I've done a couple Ironmans, full Ironmans. I was like, no way. I was like, yo. And then like I just started like vibing off him, started like pulling energy from what he was telling me. And I was like, yo, I want to do this. My goal is to do it, when I'm 40, like, at the oldest, and just have that milestone for myself. He's like, oh, you could do this, you could do this. You just got to train, you got to push. He's like, imagine this, what we're doing right now, but imagine doing that after you had swam for 2.2 miles, after you had cycled for fucking 112 miles or whatever it is, 114 miles, and then go run a marathon. He's like, that's why you got to push. That's why you got to build that internal confidence, that internal strength, that mental capacity to be able to achieve these things. He's like, bro, let's do it. Let's keep going. And so it got to a point where where like they started getting tired. Like, yo, I'm sorry, man. We're just gonna walk for a little bit. And I was like, nah. And so I kept going. I kept going. I kept jogging. I kept jogging until a point where I couldn't no more. Right. And then I was like, oh fuck. So I started walking, and I was just eyeing my watch, making sure that I was still could possibly get that under 5 hour mark. And I knew it was gonna be super close, right? And so finally, like I'm walking and I'm looking at it, and all of a sudden I feel like a tap on my shoulder. Bam, bam. He's like, come on, buddy, let's go. Come on, Mr. Swole. And I was like, oh shit. And so it was the father and the daughter again. So they passed me. He's like, come on, we could do this. Come on. And then sure enough, we start running. And I was like, shit. And I look at my watch and I was like, all right, man, there's 3 miles left, bro. 3 miles. That's a 5K. And I was just turning myself. And so running around my house, one lap is 3 miles, right? And so I mentally fucked myself with that. Not fucked myself, but I mentally uh, hyped myself with that because I think in 3 miles intervals are really one lap, right? And so I was like, it's only one lap. It's only one lap. It's only one lap. When in reality, it's 3 miles, and so it helps you, expand your mental capabilities of what you can do because now you're not focusing on 3 miles, you're focusing on just one lap, right? And so it's just one. It's just one. It's just one. And man, and there, like the limiting beliefs started coming in, like oh, I can't do this. Oh, fuck it, I'm just gonna give up. Oh, I'm gonna, I'll get the 5. That's what I was shooting for. And I was like, no, fuck that. And I really just locked in on myself. I started like really praying. I started, God, give me strength. Like man, I just started like chanting and fucking just saying that I could do this. I'm possible. I'm great. Like literally building myself up, hopping myself up, right? And I'm going, and I'm looking, and man, and I see like, man, I got okay, 2 miles left, right? And I'm like, fuck. And I keep going. I'm like, yo, I knew that this was gonna happen. I knew we were gonna have to push this. I knew we were gonna have to push past this comfort zone and push past the limiting capacity, like, the limiting capabilities that you think you have, and break that fucking glass barrier, right? And bam, and I was like, all right, sure, I only have 1 mile left. And I knew at that point when I had 1 mile left that, actually I knew when I had 3 miles left that I could make it as long as I sustained an 11-minute pace, right? Low 11, like high 10, low 11. I couldn't go above 11:27 because if I went 11:27, I would finish at 5 flat, and I knew I had to be under 11:25. I was shooting for really. So bam, and I have 1 mile left, and I was like, all right, I got this. Bam, I have 1 mile left, and I see the stretch at the finish line. Everyone's like, yo, come on, buddy, you got this. And it's crazy because so many cops and so many volunteers like, all right, come on, Mr. Swole, come on. And I was like, yo, and I was looking, I was like, yo, who the fuck? I ain't Swole. And it's crazy because your mind, like, I come from being super skinny. I never really worked out so much, but I've been on this fucking growth journey for so long already that the results have been really showing, right? And really my identity has shifted, and now I'm like, yo, okay, you're right, that fucker, right? I have been putting in the work. And so bam, I see the last stretch, and there's like a couple guys in front of me, right? And I was like, yo, I need to pass these guys. I need to just focus on passing them. And I was like, I'm not gonna come into the finish line behind people. I'm gonna come in as a leader, like even though as a leader of that little pack that we had, right? And so I fucking pushed, and I'm there, and I'm breathing hard, and my body wants to quit. My mind already is past the point where it thinks that we can't go no more, right? And I'm like, oh, and I passed one, and I passed the other, now I'm on the front. I'm like, yeah, I fucking got this. And I'm in my mind, I feel like I'm running all out, but I'm really fucking running like at that point, I was actually running like a 9-minute pace, right? Um, Giving it all I fucking got. And then like in the distance, I see my wife, and like surprised me out of nowhere. Like I didn't expect her to be there. And she was like, yeah, come on, babe, come on. And that gave me another emotional high, man. And I ran even faster, cut the corner to the finish line, and boom, fucking finish. And I look at my watch, and I was like, holy shit, 4 hours, 56 minutes, man. And I was like, yo, I got this. I got this. I passed. And sure enough, right there, like everything goes black. And I was like, oh, and I just focus on breathing. I'm like, oh, okay, I'm in. All right, I got it. I got it. And I just had to focus on sustaining myself because I wanted to pass out. I had pushed myself so hard to that point that I wanted to pass out, but I got it done. I was so exhausted that I almost even forgot to get my medal, right? And like once you leave that spot, they won't let you come back in. So I was like, yo, what the fuck? I turned right back around quick, got like 2 waters, got my medal, and I was like, whew, whew, just breathing. I was like, oh, you got this, Randy. It's over. It's over. It's over. It's over. You fucking achieved it. You achieved this shit. You achieved this shit, right? And it was all from pushing myself. It was all from believing that you could do something that originally you thought that you can't, right? It was all from embracing the discomfort. It was all from really believing in yourself that you could do something greater than your current capabilities, right? And so that really transitions into the aftermath of the marathon, right? In the aftermath of the marathon, at that point when you feel exhausted, when you feel like, oh my God, I just want to throw myself on the floor. And a lot of people, you see them throwing themselves on the floor. I heard over the speakers, and I actually didn't know this, that they're like, yo, you gotta, if you just finished, you gotta keep moving, you gotta keep walking around, catch your breath, do not sit down, do not lay down, you gotta keep moving, you gotta keep the blood flow. You just traveled 26 miles, you gotta cool down, you gotta keep moving. I just heard that and I was like, oh my God. I was like, fuck, I just want to lay myself. I just want to throw myself. I just want to sit down. And I was like, whatever, I gotta keep moving. I just focus on that. And they were saying that you have to keep moving or else the day after and the day after that, you're going to be useless, right? Your legs, you're going to be able to move them. You're going to be able to, you're going to be like fucking, like jellyfish, right? Like you're going to have no fucking hardcore legs to be able to walk. And this is uncapable. This was not something that I wanted in my life. Like I needed to show up on Monday, fucking get the shit done. I'm on no days off shit. Like I needed for this to happen. So I just kept walking. So what I wanted to share that with you is because if you run distances, even if you're training, even if you don't get to the 26 miles, but you run 6 or you run 8, make sure you always incorporate a cool down where you're moving so that you don't overwork your legs to the point where, you're not going to be able to walk the next day, right? And not to say that you ain't going to be sore, because I was fucking super sore. I was that afternoon, I was walking around like, oh my God, it was fucking tough. It was challenging. But of course it was challenging because I got something done that I had never done before in my life. I got a new personal record. I got this shit done, right? And so it was all about embracing the discomfort. It was all about pushing past the limits that I thought that I had in order to achieve a new baseline of now what I know is possible, right? And so I shared with you at the beginning of this episode that the Ironman, the full one, is the goal, right? And so the reason why I was pushing so hard and the reason why I didn't want to settle for, just get as closest to the 5 as possible. And then that transitioned into, oh, let's just get a 5 flat. Then that transition into, no, we're going to fucking get a time that is in the 4s, no matter how close it is to the 5, but it's going to be a 4, is because the Ironman is the goal. And this marathon is only the running portion of the marathon, right? Of the Ironman, right? You still got the bike ride, you still got the swim, right? And if I total them all up together, based on my fucking times that now I have, the swim I could probably do it in like, let's say, an hour and a half. The bike ride, I've never biked over 100 miles, but let's say that I double my pace of the current, which is 3 hours, that would be 6 hours, and then now let's say I could run a 5 flat, which after doing that whole distance, it's very challenging, but I'm raising my baseline of what I know it's possible now. That will be 6 plus 5, that's 11, plus 1 hour and a half, that's 12 and a half to accomplish this goal. Just wild, right? Which is, why it's important for you to push your capabilities, why it's important for you challenging your limiting beliefs, why it's important for you to shatter what you think you can do in order to grow into the next level of yourself, right? And so Monday came around. Of course, I was sore. I got up, actually made sure I had a good night's sleep that night to recover. Had to get up, had to get things done, had to work, had to do things, and then so I made sure I got my morning routine. I got everything done except my exercise, right? And then the morning I told my wife, actually, it was funny. I was like, yo, today I think I'm just going to walk. I'm fucking exhausted, this and that. And then as the day progressed, I was like, yo, fuck walking, bro. Like, yo, I'm really trying to do this Ironman shit. Like, yo, I need to embrace the discomfort. And today we're going to get back to fucking doing strength training, right? And so did the whole day, went through it, got shit done. Sure enough, right before dinner, I was like, yo, we're going to knock out some strength training. And that was the last thing that I wanted to do, was push some fucking weights, right? The last thing that I wanted to do is get in the fucking, in my gym that I have in my garage, is go and fucking push some iron. This is the last thing. But I knew that in order to keep raising my capabilities, in order to keep raising my baseline of what is fucking possible, I need to push the limits. And so I fucking showed up and I pushed some weight. And I probably wasn't the most fucking badass work I could have done, but I proved to my mind that I could get back right into the gym and push some fucking weights right after running a marathon, right? It's all about raising your baseline. It's all about showing and proving to your mind that you could do more than you think you can, right? And this is what my biggest lesson is about this. It's really about stop giving in to your limiting beliefs. In other words, stop being a little fucking bitch, right? Because so many times during the race, I wanted to give in. So many times around the race, I wanted to quit. So many times around the race, I was like, you know what? I know I could be my personal time, even if I get it by 15 minutes or by 30 minutes. Like, no, fuck that shit. Don't give in to the little bitch voice. You gotta push through it. You gotta unleash the best version of yourself, right? You gotta be able to embrace the discomfort because there's more in you. There's more in the tank. Right when you think that you're at full capacity, you're only about 40% in. You still got another minimum 50% to go, right? Probably 60. This is according to Navy SEAL training, right? So don't be a little bitch. Embrace the discomfort. You got more in you. You can do this shit, right? And so my question that I want to leave you with, right, as we wrap up this episode is, what has been the longest distance that you have ran so far in your life, right? It may be 26, right? It may be half a marathon, right? It may be only, 9 miles. Maybe it's 6 miles. Maybe it's 3 miles. Or maybe it's only a 5K or whatever. Maybe it's only 1 mile, right? What has been the longest distance that you have ran, right? And then my challenge for you today really is, what race can you sign up for that will push those current capabilities, right? So if you know you've only ran a mile before, can you sign up for a 5K, which is a little bit over 3? No, it's like 3.1, right? If you know you've done a 5K before, then can you sign up for a 10K, right? What can you sign up for that you can lock yourself in, that you have to raise the bar, that you have to push your limits, that you have to increase your capacity in order for you to grow into the next version of yourself, right? And then go fucking sign up for that shit, right? Like, it doesn't matter that you're not ready right now. It's actually because you're not ready right now that you have to sign up for that so that you can go fucking get ready, right? You got this shit. You can do it, right? And really, my final thought for today is to let you know that pain is temporary, but quitting, that shit lasts forever, my friend. So make sure that you don't fucking quit, right? The only way to really define your limits is by going beyond them. So therefore, my friend, it's not the distance that you must conquer in the marathon or in the 5K or in the 10K, whatever it is that you're running, but it's you that you must conquer. You got this shit. Push the limits. Let's get to work. Yo, I'm driving the checkered flag deep into the ground, and I'm calling all the motorsport enthusiasts who want to improve their situation. Let's break free from all the shit that's been holding us back, and let's become the badass motherfuckers that we're all meant to be. Breaking the stereotype is exactly what we're here to do. This movement is called Live Your Life Wide Open, and helping others level up is the mission that God has tasked us with. If by any chance you still haven't subscribed yet, man, go ahead and smash that button so you never miss another episode. And if you connected with today's message, if you resonated with today's message, if you're also a runner, you're also someone who likes to push yourself, or maybe you want to lock in and put some accountability on yourself, man, go ahead and do me a favor and post this on your story. Make sure that you tag me so that I can hold you accountable to it at Wide Open Randy, because those are the actions to really help more gearheads to hear and really see this podcast. And ultimately, that's how our community grows. Catch up with you on the next episode. But till then, live your life wide open, my friend. Peace.